I guess what I'd like to do is see if I can make this thing fit in my garage. And I know the muffler comes off. I don't know if the air cleaner comes off or not because it won't clear. It's only I know it won't clear because I can't even get I can't get anything in there. Got whoever cut this hole in the hood for the muffler did a pretty bang up job on it. Because usually they look like Freddy Krueger got a hold of it. An air cleaner, I don't know how that comes off. I guess you can't tell by looking at it from here. I don't know if it's bolted, it must be bolted up on here somewhere. So I know I can unbolt it off the carburetor, which that doesn't help too much. I guess I gotta put a light up in there and see. Oh boy. It's weird, this has a distributor on it. Distributor, not a mag. And there's clearly something wrong with this tire because I pumped it up. It's a brand new tire and tube, but it's flat. I fully expect that with my luck, those muffler bolts are probably rusted in there, and I don't want to snap those off into the thing. I could get it in the tractor shed up there. It would fit in that. I could back it in. It just makes it a little hard to work on it because you'd have to lay on the dirt. Put the Super C in the garage. That would work, I guess. Worst comes to worst. I guess I put the Super C in the garage. Put this in the tractor shed. It's just I wanted to work on it over the winter, and obviously the tractor shed's open. The tractor shed's open front, so it's not like it's going to be a place I want to go hang out in. I guess the first step's to haul this back up in the driveway. Take a closer look at it. I kind of want to get it fixed. I'd still rather have something red, like a 300, a 350. This one's free, and judging what I've seen, this styled A in good condition, it's worth $2,800. The $3,000. Not running right now. It's probably worth $1,200. It's got really good rubber on it, and that's a huge investment right there if you had to buy rubber, which you wouldn't have to with this. And bring you treats. So I mostly have it in, and I'll show you this. So that this thing's a big tractor. I got the stack off without too much trouble. The air cleaner, you can see. I mean, it would clear the actual opening, but the door, not so much. And I will tell you, be the first person to tell you, I'm not a John Deere guy, and I don't know anything. So I'm still waiting for my service manual to show up. So. Kind of flying by the seat of my pants right now, but it looks like in order to get this air cleaner off, I have to unhook it from the carburetor, and I couldn't see any other place, but it's definitely all connected. I think what I'm going to do is get the grill off it because there's do not put me in the video. There's a nice big wasp nest in there. Not sure what this little crack is right here. But it also looks like I have to take this nose cone off. I guess I take this off, and then I guess this just comes out. There's a couple bolts here. Looks like 3 on each side maybe, and maybe that just pops out. I'm not sure. I guess we'll figure that out too. One thing I did notice is that all this steel here, it's not broken and welded like the B was, so that's good. It wasn't stressed out. I know initially when they went to this design, they had some issues, and I think it's nice. I like the style of it, but I guess it wasn't quite rugged enough. You'd think it would be. It's C-channel. It's I don't know, 1/4 inch steel. And I also noticed this has a distributor on it, which I think is kind of cool. It's got a Delco Remy distributor instead of the Weco X mag. So that's kind of interesting. 48 had a distributor on it instead of the mag. Radiator shutter not hooked up. Like the B had one, but this one doesn't. So you get hand clutch. The lights didn't come on. Here's your throttle linkage here to the carburetor. Obviously the belt pulley and your brakes. One of the coolest things I think about John Deere tractors is it's so easy to fix the clutch, because you pop this off right here and all the guts of it are right behind this panel, and the brakes are easy to get to also. I do know, I think it was 1952 or 53, the 50 and 60 replaced the B and the A respectively, and so the A became the 60. And I think the biggest differences were the availability of live power, meaning that with the A, you have to put the transmission PTO, engage that to get the hydraulics to work. And this one just has the pedal. It's kind of like the Ford ends, where it was either up or down. So you step on it once and it goes one way, and you step on it the other way and it goes the other way. The 60, I think, didn't have the 2-speed transmission like this does. I think it just had a bunch of gates like the B and the 50. So you had the biggest thing was the power troll, obviously, which came out with the A and B. I think that was improved, so it was live, meaning that you didn't have to engage the PTO to have hydraulics. Live power, meaning that you could push the clutch in like halfway and still keep the PTO turning. So that was handy for like running a hay baler or something. The way that they call it duplex carburation on the 50 and 60, and that doesn't mean they had two carburetors, it just means it had a 2-barrel carburetor instead of the single barrel. These ones had what they called the, I want to call it a tornado, but something like that. It just had basically an eyebrow on it that put a vortex on the air intake, so it gave it a little bit better economy and a little bit more power. So, I mean, that's, and the styling, obviously, they changed the styling on the front with the 50 and 60, so the flutes, instead of going this way, they went up and down, and that was just so you can stick your fingers in there and clean the gunk out. Roll-o-matic, obviously, was an option. Oh, and I think the last thing was the rack and pinion adjustable rear wheels. These ones right here, you loosen it up and you take a punch and you pound on it and lift it up, and hopefully it's not all seized up and you can move it. And I think the 50 and 60 had a rack and pinion adjustable axle on it. So that's it in a nutshell. Also, the 50 and 60 didn't have the air cleaner sticking up like that anymore. I'm not sure where it came in, but it wasn't up there. They only had a stack on it. The G was the only one that didn't, because the G became the 70, and it didn't come out at the same time as the 50 and 60. The 70 came out a little bit later, also, and then the 80. But the G was the only one that was styled, and they didn't put the air cleaner and the muffler in a row to give you better visibility. Even at the end of it, they were still side by each like this. So, and when the 70 came out, they just had the one stack. So anyway, I'm going to crawl back under here. I've got these 3 bolts out, and you can see under here, one, and there's 2, there's another one. Anyway, you get the gist of it. There's 3 bolts, and so that's all disconnected. I'm going to take, I've got the battery disconnected. I think what I want to do is pull this cable back if I can, get some I don't know what's holding it up in there. I was hoping, because what I think is there's not enough slack on the battery cable. So when I get the starter off, you've got the starter switch, like the Farmore ones have. And I'm sure that the starter looks similar to this right here, but so you've got the starter switch up here, and it's like a 5/8 nut with the cable on it, and there's not a lot of room to work in there. So I think if I can get some slack back on this cable, if I can get some slack back on, so the cable's here, and this is your lights, and it looks like thought I'd have to replace this starter cable, but it looks pretty good actually. It's not as bad as I would The B was real bad. This one's pretty good. And you get your ground strap here. The weird thing about this tractor is they were 12 volts from the factory, and they had two 6-volt batteries tied together. But it was 12 volt positive ground instead of negative ground, so that's a little odd, but that's the way they were because it was two 6-volt batteries tied together. And so I think this is your hydraulic fill here for your rock shafts, rear end here, and the oil filter goes up underneath. You fill the tank here, or fill the crankcase, I should say. Here's your test cock here, so you loosen this up and a little bit of oil comes out, it weeps out. That's when you know that you've got it. Here's your oil filter and the drain right there. The thing I like about these is you just take a 5-gallon bucket and stick it under there. It's pretty easy to change the oil in these. And you get your spark plugs, generator. You know, I can see that this was all redone, so it's just too bad it's sat outside. A new sending unit for the temperature. It's all new wires and got a new coil. The steering wheel's good, the seat's good. We got really good rubber on it. These are the big tires too. These are the 38s. 12.4 38. So I think this is the same that would have been on like an H, maybe an M too. I don't remember what was on my M, my Farmall M. I think it was 38s. I think, let's see, this would have been about a 40-horse tractor. So I think the M would have fallen somewhere between like the 70 or the G and the A, and the B is kind of like an H. A John Deere B is kind of like a Farmall H. And the M is I think it's a little bit more horsepower than the A. I think I don't remember anymore. I think it's more like between because this is 38 horsepower and the G, if I remember, is like 43 or something. Heavy tractor, about 5,000 pounds, and actually that's about what a Farmall M weighs. So I thought this was a heavier tractor, but it's really not. But the thing about these John Deeres is all the weight, because the engine it's a horizontal 2-cylinder, meaning it's going this way. So here's your head, right? And so you only have 2 cylinders. The most of the weight on these tractors is sitting right here, and so a lot of times we're kind of light on the front end. Or they get light in the front end pretty quickly because all your weight is back here. There's nothing up there. It's good for traction, and I don't remember what they had for weights on the front of these. I do know that John Deere pretty much had one size weight, and it was like the ones that went on the M, the A and the B, the H. They were all the same weight that fit in here. But these are all cast rims, and so it's solid cast rims, so there's a lot of weight built into this. But I did take this in the parade a few times with my cousin, twice that I remember. And I remember I bought new hubs for it. I bought green ones, and I put new bearings in it. Some people, the purists, like it yellow, but I really like the green. It kind of makes it pop. I know I bought this. I have armrests for the seat that I had bought. And you know, a lot of you were really overwhelmed when I brought this home, so I didn't know what to do with it. I had considered using it for a lawn ornament, which is probably my least favorite option. I thought about selling it, which may not still be out of the question, but I kind of feel crappy about selling it because it was my cousin's, and I do miss my cousin a lot. The B had some issues, so I did sell his B, and bought that 200, and I turned around and sold that. But I can't keep everything as much as I want to, so I have to kind of pick and choose what I keep, and then some stuff stays and some stuff goes, and so that's the gist of it. But as of right now, I guess I'm going to keep it at least for a while. I just want to get the bugs worked out of it. And fortunately, last spring, if you remember some of my other videos, I had all that stuff. I had so much stuff underneath my barn, and I cleaned all that junk out and sold. I sold, I don't know, like $20,000 worth of junk. and that really freed up a lot of space, and it also allowed me to pay off my Mahindras, so I don't owe on those anymore, which is really good. But you know, the John Deeres, I remember as a kid, my brother had a 50, which looked similar to this. That was what I kind of learned to drive on, the John Deere M, the John Deere 50, and the Super C. That was my brother's that I have. So there is a little bit of nostalgia with it, and I do like it. I don't hate it. Time will tell, I guess. But anyway, it's pretty easy to work on. John Deere's, you know, they're only 2 cylinders. Most of the stuff is pretty straightforward. I don't consider myself an engine mechanic, and I don't want to be an engine mechanic. If you see me tearing an engine apart, then you better something's happened, because I don't know anything about engines. I'm afraid to do it because I don't know what I'm doing, and I've seen cases where people think they know what they're doing, like, oh, anybody can rebuild a motor. Well, yeah, maybe. Maybe. Regardless, I know I'm babbling. I'm kind of excited, and if you saw my last video, I was kind of down, and so I've kind of bounced back, and I'm kind of happy. I'm pretty happy today. I've got this. I got that in the garage. I've got room for it. I obviously got to take all that stuff off to get it in here, but I think this is going to sit in here for the winter, and we can work on it, and I'll get it I hope straightened out. I know the motor's not seized up because I can turn the flywheel over and hear it move. It's really hard to turn the flywheel over on this tractor. It's a big motor. So let's see if we can get that starter out of there. John Deere had 3 versions of the A and B. So the first one came out, it was unstyled, so it was just painted green and yellow, no styling on it whatsoever, and those are worth quite a bit, especially the earlier ones. I don't know if I have a toy one out here. I might. I'm going to look and see if I thought I did. Yes, I do, right here. So your first A's look like this. Obviously the tires, their wheels are different. These would have had spoked wheels on it, and I had another toy one somewhere. I don't know where it is at the moment. I can't put my finger on it. But they had spoked wheels, kind of like the D you see up there. And then, so it came out in the 30s, which was kind of when rubber was starting to be a thing. And then a lot of started, what they would do is they'd cut the rim, they'd cut the outside of the tire, the wheel or the tire or whatever you want to call it, and re-weld it and put tires on it. Sometimes you'll see just rubber on the front, which I don't know why that was the case. Maybe some of you know, but you see that quite often in some of the old tractors. But then the later versions were all rubber like this. I think electric starting and lighting was an option, but I do know, I think in 1939 John Deere styled it. And you know, I always get it confused between Raymond Loewy and Draper, the John Deere guy, and Loewy was the farmall guy, if I remember right, and they were both industrial designers back in the 30s. So if you remember, if you know anything about history, you'll know that in the 30s a lot of the stuff was streamlined, and Art Deco was the thing. So that's when you started seeing all the cars and everything, the jet age after that. But Art Deco, shiny, like the Chrysler building. But anyway, so they were renowned designers. And then this is the rendition of the 1939 John Deere. They still kept the John Deere on the back axle at this point. Still a pan seat. Different motors. That one. And so the parts don't really go together. So if you've got a A or a B, and you just can't take the 39 parts and put them on a 48, or even a 41 on a 48, because they're different. And I don't think I have. I know it's inside. Yeah, I've got the new version with the, like that one. But anyway, you get 3 versions of it. So the A and the B were pretty much together the whole time they came out together. The B, I think, was only like 9 or 10 horsepower, so it was really not a big heavy tractor. It was a light tractor, and John Deere was trying to phase out or get the farm to, old Dobbins horses to convert over to tractors. And I mean, when you think about it, if you're a livestock farm, you have a dairy farm, and you have to put in X amount of feed for your cows, but you farm with horses, you have to put another amount in to. It's just another whole set of animals to take care of. So once tractors started becoming popular, it was I can't remember the number of horses that were in the United States, but basically the horses just within 10 years, I don't want to say they vanished, but they definitely, a lot of them went away. And I honestly, when I was a kid growing up, I was a John Deere guy. I loved John Deere, and I was until just a few years ago when I got jaded by the new tractors and the dealership, and it's just not like it used to be. But I guess that's true with anything. But these old tractors, they're still classy, and they're still, the thing about these is they still have the 540 PTO, I think it's 7-spline PTO shaft, so that you can take one of these old tractors and hook modern equipment up to it. And it doesn't have live power, but you can still use it. Of course, there's no 3-point hitch on it. They've got aftermarket 3-point hitches you can buy, and they're kind of like $800. And they're limited in usefulness because you have to turn the PTO on, and it doesn't work when you have the clutch. I always get confused, is it clutch in or clutch out? Like when you push the clutch in, does that mean the clutch is out? Or does that mean when you take your foot off the clutch, does that mean the clutch is out? I feel like when you have your foot off the clutch is in because, or I guess it's touching, I don't know. Tell me what, I'm lost here. I know when you push the clutch in, it takes the clutch disc off the flywheel so that the motor runs and the transmission's disconnected. I know that, but I don't know if it's clutch in or clutch out. But regardless, you know what I'm saying. If you activate the clutch on this tractor, the hydraulics stop, and it's just like a 4.8N, and that was rectified with the Jubilee, 50? Is it 50? 52? 52. 53. 1953 they came out with the Jubilee. And then they had it 2 years, but 54 it wasn't called a Jubilee anymore. It was just called an NAA, which technically both of them were an NAA, but only in 53 they had the emblem that said Jubilee on it, and then 54 just said NAA. And so, regardless, let's get this starter out. Babbling a little bit, I just had a lot of things I wanted to tell you. Hopefully I didn't bore you. But anyway, I got my creeper. Hit my creeper, and I'm going to crawl under there and see if I can get this thing out. It looks like before I go any further, I got to slide that drawbar back and put the pin in it because it was put forward. So I've got the pin out right here. It goes in this little thing, so. The B, for some reason the whole drawbar assembly was kind of messed up too. I'm not sure how that happened, but it was. There. Well, that's pretty cool. There's just a little pin in there that locks like that. There's 2 little tabs, 2 ears that come out, and then this sets down in between them. That locks your drawbar in. So I've got the battery these 3 bolts out. Supposedly that's what holds the starter in, is those 3 bolts right there. I know they're not super light. Why? I don't know what's holding it. I don't know. I would have thought it would just fell out when you take the bolts off. Or And this is where I'm a little bit at a loss for, you know, I don't know why it's not moving. I guess I'll get a pry bar and try. Maybe it's just rusty stuck instead of Rusty Jones. Rusty stuck. Usually when winter comes, it gives me a chance to come out here and in the garage. I've got a shop in the woodshed too, and this one in the barn. It gives me a chance to kind of go take stock of my stuff and clean it up and reorganize it. Now that's moving. I feel it definitely moving. So why is that? What is happening? I hate to pound on the Bendix. I think that's what you call it. The little snout that sticks out. Is that a Bendix? Too much. Probably when I whack on it, the whole damn thing's gonna fall out. There it goes. I don't think I heard anything. Maybe the cable is screwing me up. I thought I could disconnect the cable or get some play out of the battery box, but where it goes into the whatever you call the part where you put the floorboard or whatever, floor pan thingy, it is stuck there. I'm sure this is not going to be light. I don't expect it to be light. I don't know what's going on here. Supposedly, this is supposed to be an easy job. That's what I'm told. For who? Not for me. I mean, it's not stuck to anything. But obviously the switch... So I'm trying to think, without seeing it, what this looks like. You have the little switch thingy that's screwed onto the top of it. And then the cable's connected to that. So I guess it's possible the cable's holding it, but you can't see it. You can't see it from here. Oh, there we go. This is about to get real, I think, folks. Because I got a bum arm. Some people say they put a floor jack on it or something. I mean, I can't imagine it would go too far because you got the you have the cable on it. Let's go around to the side. Take a look at this. So here's your starter, right? I guess if you take this pin out, let's see, probably the whole damn thing's gonna fall out when I hit that. Let's see. I think that ain't gonna be cute. Because maybe that's what's holding me back. Where does that go? Definitely see it. Right there. What if I were to pull that cotter pin right there? Then what happens? I don't know if I want to, because then I'll forget where it goes. But I also don't want it to come down on my head. I guess it's not going anywhere. Yeah, 5/8. Let's try. Is it 5/8? It must be, because it doesn't look like it's 9/16. Looks like one of those instances where you wish you had a small socket. And it's like if this flywheel was turned, you could probably reach it from right through the hole in the side of the flywheel. It looks pretty close. I'll try to turn the flywheel again. I don't know if I can. What I want is it's probably not going to turn with it in gear, is it? Let's try a little more. Like maybe it's probably not going to line up just right. I should be able to see. But farming is hard on camera equipment. So it looks like with my 3/8, that's the longest one I have. I can't tell if it's turning. Something's happening. Trying to get it on there in itself is a feat. I mean, it's ratcheting, so I'm gonna guess that's a good thing. It's ratcheting, but it's still tight. I can't do anything with it. It wouldn't be ratcheting if it's not on the nut, I wouldn't think. It's on something. Can't tell if I'm making any progress. Seem to find good anything anymore. I bought some from Steiner for farm-alls. I don't know if they're the same for the John Deeres. I guess I can look. Alright, I got the cable off. Let's see if I can kill myself. There it goes. Oh, what am I stuck on? Something. Oh, there it goes. Oh, that is a heavy starter. Oh. That's it. That's the guy. So usually what I've found... What the heck is that? What is this bolt? I don't even know what that is. So what's supposed to happen... Hopefully my camera's lined up. Drop this down. And the light's right in my face. Here's my starter. Okay. So here's what I know. You push on the starter, and what it does is it sends this Bendex into the flywheel. I think that's, you call it a Bendex, right? When you do that, it should engage here, which activates the switch inside here, which is the power. I don't know what that is. This screw. There's only three. There's 3 bolt holes, 1, 2, 3, that held it on. So I have no idea what this does. I got it out. Let's go have supper.
What?
I'm gonna call it a day. Let's go get the calves fed and then go get Henry and the goat.
You put them back behind the sugar house or?
Yep. Well, camera doesn't really pick it up, but it's getting dark, so going to call it a day. I got the starter out. That was what I wanted to do. We did an overview. I got the tractor up here in the garage, and I'm happy. I got the starter out. So I don't know what that little claw piece of metal is. Is it? I wouldn't think it'd be to ground it, because the starter should be grounded by the bolts that hold it to the chassis. What's that lever for? Does anybody know? If you know, put it down in the comments, because I have no idea. I've never seen anything like it. I'm going to call it a day. Get the cows fed, make supper. I'm having scrambled hamburger with onions, peppers, and mushroom, and toasted hot dog rolls with mozzarella cheese. It's my poor man's version of the steak bomb. We get tons and tons of hamburger, so I have to be clever in how I'm going to use it. I appreciate you watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Phase 2, I'm going to see if I can get the air cleaner off so I can get this thing in the garage for the winter. Thank you for watching. Comment down below, because I don't have my manuals. I'm totally ignorant on John Deere. And if you know some simple ways or simple things to check besides the wiring and the battery and the starter switch, I'd love to hear it. I'll talk to you next time.